way the weather's been, yeah, but I'm home. Good evening. It's 6 p.m. Time to get our council meeting going. I'd like to thank everybody for being here. Um, Everybody's present on the council. If you please stand for the pledge, then the invocation will be given by Mike Andazola.
I'll be giving the invocation. Dear Heavenly Creator, we thank you for this day which you bestowed upon us. We ask you to be with us in this day as we come to make decisions for this wonderful community of ours where we live, work, and we raise our families and bring joy to our families, greeting one another as a community. And we thank you for everything that you've done for us, Lord, within Heavenly Creator. Within this realm, we ask you to please be with us tonight. We ask you to please be with our employees. We ask you to be with our manager, our city clerk, and most of all, our employees that we value very much. In our Heavenly Creator's name, amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Okay, then we'll go on to item 5 and 6. We have no comments on agenda items, and we don't have any comments on non-agenda items. So we'll move to item number 7, a presentation, the Samaritan House update presentation. Ron?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilman, City Manager, thank you for the opportunity to come in and just give you a little bit of update. I placed a paper in front of you that you can look at in detail if you want, but for everybody's benefit, give you just a little bit of a brief from the beginning. We started the Samaritan Home in September of last year, which in September we had 50 guests, 25 showers, did 24 loads of or individuals doing laundry at that time, and passed out about 19 hygiene kits. That's back in September. And as you'll be able to see, October, November, December, and January, basically for the public information, gone from 50 guests to 217 in January, 187 in February. Showers that were given out, 78 in January, 53 in February. Laundries went up to 64 individuals coming in just to do laundry. Meals served on each Sunday from there, nearly 85 individuals receiving a Sunday meal. And so that's been fantastic. You can go through the rest of everything there in front of you if you want details on it. I will give a little bit of information as far as I mentioned a couple of different things. Operating hours right now, we're going 5 days a week. We're seriously looking at actually going 7, just because there's a need. The individuals in which we serve and help, and there's no difference between Monday to Sunday, for them and their lives. It doesn't differ for them as it does many of us. Right now we have two full-time individuals and 2 part-time individuals, which we've received grants and pay for their pay, their salary 100% through grants. And there's been a great, also, if you take a look on there, just And I do believe, go back up in-kind donations, in February was, not in-kind, just donations monetarily was nearly $10,000 from individuals in the community. I will put a little push here at this moment. If you're not aware of the charitable contribution that you can make, many of us are familiar with the ones, the $400, you know, $200 each you can do to the school. Well, there's another $821 per couple, $840 per couple, that if anybody owes money to the state, this is the only time, dollar for dollar, okay, you can choose where that money goes to instead of the state placing that money. Which means in the end, it costs you nothing if you owe state taxes. Just ask your tax accountant if you're not doing that. It's a great way to tell your money where to go instead of somebody else doing so. And so please do that. There's about, I think there's 6 charitable organizations within Graham County. Of course, I'll plug the Gila Valley Samaritan Home. We're the newest at the moment, but everywhere from the My Neighbor's Pantry to the Safe House, Seekus, I do believe House of Hope. I'm going to miss somebody, but there's about 6. So anyway, little plug there. If you owe money to the state, I know a good place to put $840 of that money for there. I think, without going in too much detail, we've received, and you might have seen, I hope you have, a actual decrease in individuals that, quote, we call homeless in the parks, up and down the roads just a little bit. You should have seen a decrease in that. That really wasn't the intent of the Samaritan Home, that, you know, take people off the street, because we're strictly daytime from that standpoint. But a couple of interesting things, we've been able to, thus far, each month, a total of, let me just do here, 7, 12, 14, 19 individuals that we've been able to find housing for, to be able to assist them. We've also sent nearly 9 or so to rehab centers to be able to assist them. And we've also sent 5 to jail. And so it happens because we do have no alcohol, no drug tolerance period, flat at the Samaritan Home. And so sometimes that's what needs to be done from that standpoint. So basically, since we've opened, we've served 130 totally separate individuals that what we claim homeless. Homeless is an individual which has now been coming out of the woodwork at the moment. Anybody that does not have running water or electricity, that is considered a homeless. And there's a group that we did not see, I don't think any of us saw. With now we're finding how many individuals that are in fifth wheels and trailers and things throughout Graham County that have no electric, no water, you know, or anything along that lines, which we've just never seen, because we're all just used to seeing the, you know, dozen or so homeless people along the side of the road. So we are grateful for the opportunity, and once again, I'll say it because I truly mean it, I'm just one of many servicing there. And the individuals that work there, the 2 full-time and the 2 part-time, they're just flat angels in what they do. So I'll open it for any questions if you have anything. We're just so pleased. It's working far better than what we ever expected to be done. And any questions?
Well, I'd just like to thank everybody involved for what they are doing for the for the county. You know, thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Mayor.
I thank you, Mr. Grant. You answered the questions that was rolling in my mind. with getting some of them housed, actually getting them housed. That's
Yeah.
one of the numbers you have here.
That's good. You'll see on there a line called diversion funds. That's something we didn't know in the past, that we have access to, tax money from the state. Diversion fund is specifically to help a person to prevent them from becoming homeless. We've had 3 different fires within the valley, 2 in Safford, 1 in Pima, that they basically were going to be homeless. And individuals, and most of them women and children, that just losing their place where they're renting or something along that lines because of a situation. The diversion funds actually gives us up to 3 months to house them in order to get themselves back on their feet again to prevent homelessness. And so that's pretty cool that I never knew existed. And
Can I
so,
just ask one more thing? You mentioned the people, the individuals in trailers or whatever without utilities. Did they come to you or did you find them?
both.
Both.
We had what's called a pit count, point in time count, that is done, it was done last month, that's done across the United States. It's one day that's picked out in the year in which everybody goes out and does a survey of anybody that doesn't have electricity or water or things along these lines. And there was 67 individuals and families in Graham County. And that wasn't counting also the reservation that was also done, which was an additional count above that, but 67 individuals that were living with no water, no utilities, or anything along that line. So, and we have them pinpointed on the map, so we know where they're at.
Good.
Vaughn, how are you doing on the parking and all that? Are you having any problems with any of the businesses around there with vehicles being parked?
Outside of a couple of people that we've had to be careful about parking right next to us at that medical facility and making sure they stay away from those parking places there, we've had no other complaints or problems. There's no loitering that goes on before hours or after hours, and we're pretty strict with that. And we literally, outside of them taking a parking place that they shouldn't have taken anyway, because it says no parking.
Just making sure, you know what I mean, because I don't know if there was any problems with that or what.
No, and that's mostly individuals that are kind of visiting for other reasons, because 3/4, if not more, of our individuals don't have a car.
Okay, and I just want to commend you on a great job and keep it up, what you're doing for our great community here in the Gila Valley.
Thank you for all your support. Appreciate it.
Brad?
Yeah, you're even dealing with pets.
You what's that?
You're dealing with pets, Mr. Grant.
Yes.
Yeah, that,
Well, almost every homeless individual has a pet. It's extremely important to them. It could be, we'll quote, their only friend they've got, and so that has to be, we don't board them, but we take care of the boarding costs for them, why they might be in rehab or something along that line, so they could have in most cases, have their dog back.
and it's not a laughing matter, but I'm sure these people would rather get a bus ticket than go to jail.
Yeah, and there's several of those that we have done. We try to find family members where they might be across the United States. You'd be surprised how many people don't realize their family member is here homeless, because the homeless person doesn't want them to know, and they might not have been in contact with them for years. We try to find those individuals, and that's what those bus tickets are. We provide a bus ticket for them to go back home.
Brad?
And Vaughn, they've also done a great job with the social media. I enjoy seeing those, the good news that they share, and they're really getting the word out that way. That's exciting to watch.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vaughn.
Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Mayor, before we move on, I'd like to recognize Supervisor Paul David is in the audience.
Okay. I'm the giving machine.
Good evening, members of the City Council and City Manager. It's great to be here. On the schedule, it shows Nona Harrington. I'm sorry I'm not as beautiful as Nona. She is being a grandmother tonight, so I brought her husband, though. So Mark Harrington is here with me. I'm Brad Montier, the president of Safford Arizona Steak, and we are here to talk about the Light the World Giving Machine. As you remember, this is our second year we've had the giving machine over here near City Hall back in December. We had it here for a couple of weeks. It's an opportunity for the community to donate money for local charities as well as some nationwide and worldwide charities. But we were really excited this year to have even a better collection, so to speak, than we did last year. Last year, we brought in about $33,000, and all of this money goes directly to these charities. This year, it was $45,000. So we're here tonight to present checks to the 3 charities that were represented, that were local, and like to invite them up. First, from Angel's Closet, I think we have Jennifer Wenham and Billy Marino. And this check is for $18,280. I believe we have a representative from SECAS, Stephanie Nabor. Is she here? SECAS, the total, let's see, $14,650.
I'll be joining the president of SECAS.
All right.
Turned out. I got a second here. Okay, thank you.
And last, we have the Boys and Girls Club. Is Brittany Dean here? Or another representative? Okay, well, I guess we won't do a picture. I guess not. But they had a check for $12,101, and don't worry, the money will get to them. We'll make sure it gets to them. But we're really excited to have this opportunity. We hope to be able to do this again in future years. We'll see if we get that opportunity again this year. So, thank you.
Thank you, Safford,
Thank you.
City Safford.
City Staff.
Thank you.
Yes, for all of your.
Supporting us. Can't thank you enough for all you do.
And I didn't mention, I mean, there were other congregations in the community that helped us, so many community members and the city council, so we're really thankful for that.
Go ahead.
Did you have a question?
No, I want to say thank you, really thank you, because this first came to me months ahead of the first time you did it. My good friend and council member Gene Seal mentioned it to me, that it was going to be coming to the area, and that it was only a one-time opportunity to start with, and yet we got it 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
And I thank you 2 gentlemen and everybody that helped bring it back here again. You said several years. I got my fingers crossed for better than that, because you're adding
hope so.
machines, and thank you very much.
And I'd like to recognize, he won't want me to, but Mark Harrington and Nona really did so much work on this and headed up the committee. And if we get it again, we're going to ask them again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and we'll move on to item number 8, selection of officer to act as a liaison for the Siegel Executive Board. And the reason being is that I resigned that board, and this is an action item. We'll need nominations. I would like to nominate Arnold Lopez myself.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion for Arnold Lopez and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Carries. Okay, item number 9, we'll close the regular council meeting and reconvene into executive session. The executive session is, council executive session. The city council will meet with the city attorney and city manager for legal advice to provide direction regarding personnel matters.
Mayor, I make the motion, we go into executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Sean, I'll get off. I'll get back on. Bill Sims.
Left the conference.
Mayor, make the motion, we go back into our regular meeting from executive session.
You got a motion? Second?
Second.
Motion second to reconvene into the regular council meeting.
Oh, did you bring white up? You want our last names or full names?
I'll do names.
Okay, then I'm gonna do 13 and then you do it after we go, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 13, selection process to fill council seat vacancy. Request for the mayor and council to complete a ranking ballot of the candidates for selection of the top 3 applicants for the council seat vacancy. Council will use ballot provided by the clerk to rank each candidate, then return it to the clerk for tallying. The top 3 candidates will result of the compiling scores from all the council members.
Mayor, I'd like to request to abstain from the ranking. The reason being, as I currently at least the only council member that has pulled a packet to run in the upcoming race. It just feels like a conflict to rank other people who also have pulled packets to be in this race.
Thank you, Brent. So you abstain from everything?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Go into recess. Need a motion to go into recess.
Move to recess for a vote.
Well, votes are tabulated, yeah, we'll go into a recess and then tabulate.
Tabulate now.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, would you like our ballots now, or?
Just let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready. All the answers were C, okay.
Thank you.
Then we come back. That's my personal feeling, but you guys do whatever you want. I'll do whatever. I want the 3 days. So what are you guys gonna do? So I'm not that. That's why. Because I wanna push for the 3 days and see if it gets through. But you never know what might So what do you want me to do? I'll just take it. That's my feeling.
In all my years, this is the first time we've done this.
Yeah, it's different, isn't it?
Yeah,
It works out.
yeah. You know what? I went through mine This is what I did. I listed them. I went to
I
easy.
did mine too, and then I went to a fire at 5 o'clock and left it in my office and didn't get back to it.
Excuse me, Jeff. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mayor, thank you for giving me a second. It's not a huge deal, but.
I hear you. You I think you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think you're doing You guys better get on it.
I've seen mine.
I may not make it. So,
And the thing is on this, like, if all three of us were on it, I would do the right. All by myself. You know, take all the heat, put somebody on that. Who's in the research.
no,
And my number 11 would be one of the 5.
I don't know what I should say. I may not be here. She hasn't had a chance.
I'm really worried about the whole, all of it.
Man, you're moving right along.
Cool.
That's the main reason I chose to run, because we have too much traffic.
I'll make sure I get that.
And I'll go hard going to the, you know what I mean? Every conversation I have, we're gonna keep this moving.
But you know what happens after
Your
that?
notes ready? You want Mayor to
I
make
would, between you and me, she ran for council
straight in.
Yeah, oh well. It'll deal it.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, will happen. Should I call this to order now? Okay, we'll have order now. D?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have the results for the selection of the top 3 that will move forward to an interview for March 25th of 2024, our next council meeting. The results are as follows. In first place, we have Lee Patterson with a scoring of total of 11. Second place, we have Dusty Bratner with a score total of 12. And third place, we have Karina Pino Reyes with a score total of 13. These 3 individuals will move forward to the March 25th interview. So I'll need a motion to approve the 3 that were selected and move them forward to
I
the
make
March 25th.
the motion that we approve the 3 selected for the appointed seat.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to approve the 3 selected for the council seat. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So that's it for number 13.
32.
And we'll move on to item 2. That's a request for the mayor and the council to approve the city council meeting minutes for February 26, 2024. Any discussion on it,
I
changes?
make the motion, we approve the minutes from February 26th.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to approve the minutes of February 26, 2024. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Okay, item 3, library collection development policy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request for Mayor and Council to approve an updated collection development policy. A little bit of background is the lending of materials continues to be a large component of library services. The library not only provides books for checkout, but also kits and passes to cultural institutions around Arizona. In 2023, customers checked out about 128,500 items. The current collection development policy was adopted in August of 2020. Library staff has reviewed this and updated it to ensure it meets current public library standards and practices while providing clarification of services as needed. So some additions we did make. Self-published works by local authors will be evaluated according to the same criteria as all items purchased for the collection. We did write some information regarding digital material selection. And we did clarify that customers cannot purchase items from our circulating collection and that we will not purchase items for personal customer use. And we also added a statement of concern process. And we recommend that the mayor and council approve the updated customer conduct policy. And with that, I will answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, so we need a motion to approve the library collection development policy.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve library collection development policy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, the program policy.
Yes, this is a request for mayor and council to approve a new program policy. And while we do not have a current program policy, but programs are a large portion of modern libraries provide to the public, in addition to literacy and access to resources. In the last year of 2023, we offered a little over 500 programs, and we had approximately 16,800 individuals attend those programs. They range in age from child to adult. We have story times, elementary, teen, adult, and summer reading programs, among many others. The program policy explains the goals of our programs, such as promoting literacy and facilitating the sharing of knowledge and expertise. It also details the rationale for why we select certain programs, such as local significance, aligning with the library's mission and goals, and availability of resources. Programs are continually evaluated to ensure they continue to meet the community needs. And we do recommend that the mayor and council approve the program policy. And with that, does anybody have any questions?
Any
Just a comment. That's a fantastic number of participants for the
Yes.
programs. That's amazing. You guys do a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Make the motion, we approve the library program policy.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the library program policy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 5, library statement of concern form.
So this is a request for mayor and council to approve. It's a statement of concern form. It does replace our reconsideration of materials form. Through this form, the community can express concerns about the library collection or programs offered to the public. And forms can only be submitted by those that live within our library service area. So that includes Graham and Greenlee counties and parts of Cochise County. Forms returned to the library will be evaluated by staff to determine if changes need to be made to the material or collection that is expressed. And while this form is being processed by staff, the program or material will still be presented to the public until a decision is made.
Any comments or? Okay. We need a motion.
I make the motion that we approve the library statement of concern form.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve library statement of concern form. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you. Then we'll move on to item number 14. Item number 1, resolution R24-004. It's a paid holiday policy. John?
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. This is a request for the mayor and council to adopt resolution number R24-004, a resolution adopting revisions to the Human Resources Paid Holiday Policy. The changes to the policy allow for the codification of existing practices, paid time when employees work a holiday, that had previously not been included in the policy but were being utilized. It also seeks to add President's Day as an observed federal holiday for the city of Safford. Background, in 2011, the city of Safford City Council changed the work week for the city of Safford employees from a 5-day, 8-hour-a-day work week to a 4-day, 10-hour-a-day work week. There were also some variations to the schedule based on different operational needs. For example, Field personnel would adjust their hours based on seasonality, still 410s. Police would work a modified 10-hour, 12-hour schedule, meaning one or the other. Landfill would operate 6 days a week, and sanitation would work 4 10-hour days with a split schedule allowing for 5-day coverage. Employees also agreed to give up 2 holidays. Specific holidays were not noted in the minutes, but it appears they were Columbus Day and President's Day. The analysis: City of Safford recognizes 9 holidays plus a floating holiday, the birthday holiday. There are 33 municipalities in Arizona that run on a 410 schedule. Comparing the City of Safford with the 33 municipalities on the same schedule as the city, 28 of those recognize more holidays than the city. All municipalities that recognize more holidays than the city recognize President's Day. The recommended changes to the policy will: 1, explicitly codify existing practices regarding compensation for employees working holidays, and 2, seek to add 1 holiday, President's Day, back to the observed federal holidays list for City of Safford employees. The request to add back the additional holiday is part of the ongoing effort by the City of Safford to continually review and update its compensation plan to attract and retain qualified employees in a highly competitive job market. Recommendation: staff recommends adopting Resolution R24-004, which revises the paid holiday policy to update city's paid practices for observed holidays and adds President's Day as an observed holiday. With that, I turn it back over to you, Mayor.
John, for me, the last thing you read is the most important part, that last sentence. It's always been the driving force for me personally with all our compensation discussions, that to attract and retain quality employees. I know it appeared that the initial staff recommendation was to do all 3, and I understand that that's tricky because they also can take advantage of that same policy that they're, so that makes it tough. This is a good compromise, and we absolutely shouldn't be open on President's Day.
Anybody else?
John, what's the take with human resources? Was there a balance between the 3 days and selecting the 1 day or anything like that?
Not really, but basically what we did was look at where we are today relative to, our peer group. And the decision essentially was that rather than staff coming back and saying, given a lot of the work that we've done to date and a lot of things that we've done to get us where we are today, compensation-wise and other things, that we felt that at least initially seeking President's Day, since so many businesses are already closed on President's Day, would be a logical step forward. And it still leaves us with 2 holidays essentially that would not be observed by the city, which would in a sense leave us in the same position as we are now, or were back in the day at this point. So the idea was to come in and make what we considered to be a reasonable request, and then leave it up to council whether or not that 1 day was reasonable, or if more were reasonable, or if some other combination was something that you wanted
Okay,
to do.
I could see this and all that, but I'd rather see our employees have the 3 holidays. But if push comes to shove, then I would probably guarantee down to 2, if possible. That's my personal feeling, but I don't know how the rest of the council feels about it.
I was initially on board for the 3 as well.
Are you okay with 2 or?
Columbus Day in addition would be fantastic with me. And I'll just add, and we don't need to drag it all back down the same road, but it's important to me to stay away from this idea that we've given anything to the employees. All our compensation plan, even this decision, is just putting us kind of normal. We're just operating like most municipalities our size.
No, and I understand where you're coming
Yeah.
from, but we need to value our employees the way I see it too, okay?
Right.
And our employees are our most important part, our department heads, our manager, and our city clerk are the most important part.
Right.
So we need to remember this too while we're taking this action. This is very important, and we have family time and all that
Right.
that people wanna spend,
Right.
and there's other people that are getting this time off, so.
Right. No, I
That's,
agree, Mike, and I don't know, your tone is almost as if I'm
Oh, no,
in
no,
the
no,
other
no,
cap. I think what I
No.
just said was kind of exactly what you just said.
Yeah. But I'm just trying to express how I
Okay.
feel.
Go ahead.
So I'm all for 3 days, okay? And what I've heard through these discussions is, we can't be comparative with salary-wise, but we can surely be comparative with giving holidays off to our employees. And I don't see what the problem is with us not being able to do all 3 days. I just feel that's part of the compensation, like, we gotta keep the employees here, and that's part of, one of the reasons why I ran is because I want to stand up for the employees and be able to say, hey, we want to do all these parks, we wanna do all this stuff. Who's gonna be keeping those parks clean? Who's gonna be monitoring the streets? You know, we gotta be able to not just, hey, do your work, we're not gonna give you this. We gotta be able to stick behind them and make them want to be able to come to work. So I'm hoping we can all get together and be able to do all 3 days. If we do that, I mean, because I know we have a birthday, just do away with that and add another holiday on top of the President's Day. I mean,
Say that again?
so they have a holiday benefit right now, birthday, they give them a birthday holiday, they can take whenever they want. So if we can exclude that and just add another holiday, and that would be President's Day and Columbus Day, I guess.
Well, I think the birthday it's a floating birthday, and I think that's a very important day. I'm for President's Day, and see how that goes, and we can always, take a look at it. We have another year coming, let's not overdo it. We can always take one step forward, at a time, instead of do too much and then, wonder where we're at. Anybody else?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion on the floor. I'd like to propose that we do President's Day and Columbus Day, 2 days, at least.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve President's Day and Columbus Day.
Now come the people, the citizens that we represent. When we first were given this in the work session, it said that some of this was not in the policy. And I don't know why, if you're handing out the manual, and there's been time to update all these policies in the manual before you hand them out to the employees. But also, the way we were approached was that we were not recognizing those holidays. Well, it was back in the day, I don't know, 2008 or something like that, when the economy was like it was, that it was chosen to go to 4 days a week to try to save monies, driving vehicles around, closing down the buildings to try to save on utilities, and that's why we went to 4 days a week. Now, when it ended up, because you're not supposed to pay more than 8 hours pay for holiday pay. And so they knew at that time they were losing 2 hours and had to use it from their vacation time to make up the difference. So it was somewhat chosen to give up those holidays, to use that monies to make up the difference. So not recognizing the holidays is not true. They were being recognized monetarily. So they were getting the monies and the benefit of those holidays, even though they didn't get to take them off. Now, this is, also it says they want to use contingency funds to pay for this. Now that means that this wasn't planned, that we're gonna have to take it from somewhere else to pay for this. Somebody's gonna have to give up a little bit of money, some other department or something, to pay for this. Now, I know the school's gonna be off now 4 days. It'd be great to have the same thing for our employees for 4 days off at the same time. But each time too, we were approached on keeping the employees, making them happy, trying to retain them, keeping good quality. That's what we get approached with all the time, and we've made that effort. We pay 90% of the health insurance. We did that this last year. We came up with an idea to see COLA come into the pay thing. It hadn't even been a year. We haven't even cycled one time, and now we have some more demands like this. Now, I can understand why you would want it. I would want it, of course. But we do have to consider the people too that are gonna end up paying for this. And it's still, not everything that was proposed on this is coming to us this time. We had more information in our work session on what else needed to be done. I had brought to the attention where it says, public safety officers and other essential service employees may be required to work on observed holidays in the interest of public safety and will be compensated accordingly. That's been scratched out. So I'm kind of wondering, is a supervisor going to be able to demand or actually have you show up for work, or can you say, I don't have to because it's not in the policy? If it's an emergency, that supervisor needs to be able to tell that employee, I need you and expect you to work. There's still some things in here that need question other than just giving them days off.
Could I address some of that for you? May I? So you, Mayor Ortega, Vice Mayor Lopez, we wouldn't need to use contingency because you're already paying for the time. So there's no additional cost.
I thought it said that in our last meeting.
No, you wouldn't have to use contingency.
So now we're using something else.
Well, no, because you're already paying them, so there's no additional.
We're already paying them from the holiday days that they're not taking off.
You're paying them to work on those days now, but if they got holidays off, you're still paying them the same amount.
Did they give up them holidays in the past to use that money to buffer and not have to take it off their vacation?
That I can't answer. I wasn't part of that discussion.
Well, that, I'm telling you, that's what happened.
Okay, all right, and the other thing I wanted to address, the public safety personnel they basically continue to work as they normally would.
I didn't mean just them, I meant in an emergency, not just public safety. In an emergency.
Right, and so we
Can
changed.
employees be asked to work?
Yes, and so we changed the language based on your earlier comments. So if you look at the red marks, it says for employees working an alternative work schedule in which a holiday falls on their normal day off, they may be allowed to take an alternative day. So we never take out of the hands of the supervisor the requirement to get people on the job. So this would not give them the ability to say, well, we're just not gonna work on that day, as it normally would not. So we made sure that they may be allowed was put in there, so we have that option. And again, it's kind of a given, but I wanted to be clear in the language that yes, they would still be required to work.
A given and an option is not in the policy.
But it is.
But well, it does say here, it's scratched out in mine.
Well, that's only dealing with public safety officers, but public safety is unique in the sense that because they work alternate schedules, they will work their normal schedules and they will be compensated with additional vacation time. So you wouldn't change the way you schedule those employees.
Well, what got me is the way you guys brought it to us, the way you worded it, like we had done nothing at all.
Okay, well, that wasn't my
Like we were,
intention. So.
like we were not paying attention, not honoring them holidays when we were using monies from them holidays to pay. So you can't say that we didn't recognize it.
Okay.
Now, I understand why they want a holiday and put another, but, I mean, we didn't even go one cycle to see if things were gonna work out for us, because we still have a crazy economy going on out there. And we've done, I know this council did right by the employees. So that's my voice for the people, as crazy as it was.
I just want to highlight that out of 33 municipalities that were on the same schedule, 28 of them observe more holidays in the city of Safford. So there's 5 municipalities that we're the same as. So 5 out of 33, you know, we can do better.
There's 98 cities and towns in this state. We picked 33. Where are the others examples?
410 schedule.
That's 1/3.
Mayor Ortega, Councilman, or Vice Mayor Lopez, you're correct. There are 95 or 98 municipalities. So of that subset, the ones that were picked were only the ones on 410. So that means that there is a majority of municipalities that aren't using 410s I'm assuming they're on 5/8, I'm not sure, but that is correct. There's about 95 to 98 municipalities.
And because the school went 4, I mean, we could have solved this problem and gone back to 5 days a week. That would have solved it. That's what started this in the first place. But since the school's out, I know our employees need to be with their kids. I'm done.
I'm not opposed to giving a holiday, but I'd like to see it spaced out. I mean, I don't wanna give everything we got all at once, and then what are we gonna do for them next year? They're gonna want something else anyway, and we're gonna wanna give them something else, but what is it gonna be? And I'd like to know, I don't wanna table it to find out, but I'd like to know why, when we gave birthdays as a holiday, we could not give President's Day or Columbus Day without infracting a rule that had to do with 80 hours of pay for holidays. I'm wondering what's changed that allows it now that didn't allow it then.
Mayor Ortega, Councilman McGoy, every consultation I've had with an attorney said that federal holidays are not required at all to be given, and therefore setting a number of hours for that day it doesn't make sense. Whatever the hours are that the employee works, those are the number of hours that you would get off for that holiday. There is no federal requirement that you give federal holidays, so it would be subject to the municipality. And again, that's the legal advice that I've received on the subject, and we did have that discussion. So I don't know what the discussions were in the past or what that decision-making process looked like, but all the information that I've gotten so far is whatever the number of hours you work in a given day, those are the number of hours you get off for the
I'm
holiday.
just curious because it wasn't an option.
Yeah, I don't know.
Years
And
ago
we
we
did
did.
ask on multiple occasions.
Thank you.
It's in the Arizona Administrative Code, where, like the county, that's what they have to observe, is that the county's under that rule.
Yeah, I understand the county, the county is an arm of the state and we are not, so. I can
Correct,
understand
which
that's
makes it a little
different.
bit different.
It happened from somewhere, and all of a sudden, the law was against us, and now it's okay. So I just wanna make sure we are doing it legal.
And again, Mayor Ortega, Vice Mayor Lopez, we did ask repeatedly, because this issue has come up. This is not the first time we've had this discussion. And I've asked the Human Resources Director, I followed up on her question, I asked again, and I asked through our risk pool attorneys that specialize in personnel, and that was the response I got. So the best information I have says that you can give a 10-hour holiday on those holidays. That is the normal workday for a City of Safford employee.
Okay,
Well,
I
I'd
enjoy
like
our
to say something for
employees
later.
too, but I enjoy our citizens also.
So just to circle back around, now, we had a motion for 2 holidays, which we didn't identify which 2, and we did have a second for 2 holidays, again, not identifying which 2. So,
I mentioned the 2, President's Day and the birthday, the floating birthday.
well, they already have the birthday, so I guess the addition would be one of the 3 remaining holidays, which would be Juneteenth, Columbus Day, and President's Day. So-
President's Day.
President's Day and Columbus Day.
Right, so that's the motion on the floor right now, is for 2 days, which is President's Day and Columbus Day. There was a second, and so that's where we are right now.
Okay. So all in favor of that motion? Opposed? Okay.
So you have a tie, which is not a confirmation.
So at this point, we're done with that motion, correct?
Yes.
So I move that we go with the proposal that came to us on tonight's agenda, which is given President's Day and okay in this policy.
Okay. All in favor?
We need a second,
Oh, a second.
and then more discussion.
You said, you're talking the 1 day?
Yes,
Well, that's what
I'm
came
saying
up.
follow what they put on paper here tonight.
Recommendation. You made the motion?
Mhm.
Okay, and I second it, okay?
Did you second?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any more discussion?
Just real quick, Mayor, I hesitate to say this, but I just want to repeat again that I resist the notion that the employees are just going to ask for something else. You know, that we're giving and they're just going to keep asking. President's Day and Columbus Day are pretty standard holidays to have off. 90% insurance is fairly standard but competitive and very good. Getting our compensation ranges where they should be. Again, we're just putting ourselves in a healthy, competitive spot, not way above and beyond, and not greedy employees. Yeah, I'll be quiet now.
I'll echo that, Councilman.
I just-
Hemphill, I'll echo what you said.
I just feel bad because my employer gives me the days off, and I feel bad that I can't give them to the employees that we look over, so I feel bad about voting. But one, I mean, I feel like a hypocrite.
Okay, well, we have a motion and a second.
I'll be voting for the one.
All in favor? Motion carries. All, opposed? So that, go ahead and read it.
This completes the approval resolution number R24-004, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, approving the paid holiday policy in the Human Resources Policy Manual for the city of Safford employees.
Okay, then we'll move on to item number 2, resolution R24-007, the appointment of a trustee to represent the city of Safford on the board of the Rural Arizona Group Health Trust Policy. It's an action item. Troy?
Good morning, Mayor, Council. Is this on? Good evening. Sorry, I said good morning again. I'll forever be mocked. Sorry, I used to have council meetings in the morning, so we didn't do them at night. So I'll get used to it. But good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm here before you for it's a housekeeping item. This is an alternate trustee. The main trustee is still Danielle Palma from our HR department. I just serve as her alternate. And this is just a clerical item that needs to be done so that we have 2 representatives. The previous representative to me would be John Casella, was the city manager, was serving in this role, and I'm just taking over that role from him. So any questions, I turn the time back over to you, Mayor.
Any comments, questions?
I'll make the motion, we approve resolution R24-007, appointment of trustees to represent the city of Safford on the board of the Rural Arizona Group Health Trust.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve resolution R24-007. Got a vote?
Yeah, all those in favor?
Yeah. I think everybody's voted.
This completes the approval of resolution R24-007, appointment of a trustee to represent the city of Safford on the governing board of the Rural Arizona Group Health Trust.
Thank you.
I have a question for you, Matt. Does that mean you're gonna represent us at the League of Cities and Towns?
Mayor, Councilmember, or Vice Mayor Lopez? No, that is still Danielle Palma's job. I'm only there if she's not available.
And it's the Ragged Consortium, not Cities and Towns.
Oh, yeah, clarify that. So it's just the Ragged Consortium.
It's our health insurance group.
Yeah, well, I thought they had meetings during that time too.
No. Right.
Thank
Okay,
you.
sir. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll move on to number 3, resolution R24-009. That's the invocation policy. John?
Good morning, Mayor and members of council.
Good morning.
This is a request for the mayor and council to adopt resolution R24-009, a resolution adopting an invocation policy. This is a new policy for the city of Safford, and staff is recommending approval. Background: while subject to much political debate, the First Amendment of the United States Constitution contains the Establishment Clause, which seeks to preclude government from establishing an official state-sponsored religion. The legal approach to the interpretation of this language has varied over time, but in most cases, diversity and neutrality have been a focus of many legal opinions. The analysis, given the long-standing tradition of giving an invocation at their city council meetings, the city of Safford wishes to continue doing so. In the spirit of many legal cases on the subject, we have chosen to do so while adhering to the principles of diversity, neutrality, and inclusion. The policy as written exemplifies that position, and staff recommends adopting Resolution R24-009. And again, I won't go into reading the policy or the resolution unless you want me to, but we have for now probably 4 council meetings in a row been working with a policy that we discussed in our work sessions, and there were some guidelines provided to us in doing so. In fact, in those guidelines, we were cited as an example as some of the people have provided invocations at our council meetings. And so we shall continue to go down the road that we have been. You'll notice council members are now going to the podium, and we're trying to use language that is as inclusive as possible during our invocations. Councilman Andazola has been honing his skills over the past few meetings. So with that said, unless you want me to read the resolution or the policy, I'll turn it back over to you, Mayor.
I make the motion, we approve resolution R24-009, invocation policy.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve resolution R24-009, the invocation policy. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
This completes the approval of resolution number R24-009, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Safford, Grant County, Arizona, approving the invocation policy and the human resources policy manual for the city of Safford employees.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 4, resolution R24-010, City of Safford Residency Policy Update.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. This is a request for the mayor and city council to adopt an updated version of the City of Safford residency policy, which was last updated in 2019. The update would provide the mayor and city council with the option to waive the residency requirement based on input from the city manager and a majority vote of city council. Staff recommends approval of the updated policy. Background: in June of 2019, City Council updated the residency policy for the City of Safford. The update required the city manager, assistant city manager, police chief, and fire chief to reside in the City of Safford city limits. It also removed the requirement that department heads live in the City of Safford city limits. The analysis, based on recent discussions at a city work session held on February 19, 2024, the direction provided to staff by City Council was to alter the policy by providing a waiver to the residency requirement. This would allow the city manager to request that City Council waive the policy if the manager felt this would allow for the best hire for the position. It would also allow City Council to waive the requirement that the city manager live in the city. There are no budget implications resulting from this policy, and if you'd like, we could go over that as it's written, but otherwise, Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay. Anybody have any comments on this? Go ahead.
Is there any stipulation, do they at least gotta live in the county?
Mayor Ortega, Vice Mayor Lopez, yes, we would require that probably that they live in the county. Yeah.
Does it say it?
No, well, actually, I misspoke. No, there is no requirement that they live in the county. I guess what we're saying is that the way it's written is that there's no requirement that we give them a boundary at this point. If you'd like, we could add that they live within the county.
I kinda think we ought to have some kind of boundary.
Okay,
I totally agree.
okay, we can
I
make that
think,
amendment.
I know of another city that, their city manager lived in, I think, Tucson, and they had an emergency and it didn't work.
Well, with our latest hire, when we hired our finance director, and that's the way we approached that, was we said, rather than having to live in the city, there was a requirement that they live in the county. So we can make that amendment to the policy, that there be a requirement that they not be required to live in the city, but that they do live in Graham County.
Well, can you leave that open to where we can talk, well, this is all flexible.
It is flexible,
And
yeah.
so, at least, at least somewhere, right here, they don't even have to live in the state.
Right, so
So
if you
something
would,
gotta come down with
if
it.
you would like, we can add a stipulation that they live in
I
the
would
county.
like to see the county added myself.
County wide enough for me.
Right?
Or within a mileage of the workstation or something. You know, the other night, we had an electrical emergency, and we got a 20-minute ETA for an electrician, you know, and then they called back and said, we're not coming, we don't think it's our problem.
30,
That's pretty weird.
30.
And just to clarify, the policy still states that those 4 positions are required to live in the city limits.
Correct.
This just provides future councils and managers with an option.
Correct. However, you know, Mayor Ortega, Councilman Hemphill, I think we want to provide the waiver, but I think the waiver will then stipulate within the county. So
Right.
it's not required that they live in the city, but if the waiver is enacted, then we should have language in there that says that they do live within Graham County. And we can add that.
I think so.
If I could say something, I'm opposed to this. I think that our city manager should live within the city limits. If they're gonna be the managers, they should understand that having the feeling of paying for utilities and all that, to have the understanding. So, that's where I stand.
And again, Mayor Ortega, Councilman Andazola, you could still require that. It simply provides an option. There's nothing, so as it stands now, the policy is still in place. So in order to not follow the policy that says that you live in the city, it would take an active act of the council in order to make that happen. So, for example, if you were having difficulty finding a manager and you decided that the best way to get somebody to work for the city and run the city was to provide that waiver, you have the option, but you would have to act in the affirmative to make that happen. So as it stands now, the policy still requires residency within the city.
And it's gonna be written down.
It is written down, except we have to add the requirement that they be within the county. So that even if the waiver is enacted, residency within the county is still required, and we can make that amendment.
Any other comments or discussion? Okay, it's an action item.
So
Mayor, I move that we approve resolution R 24-010, City of Safford Residency Policy Update,
But with the amendment.
with the amendment that,
Even if the policy waives the requirement for city residency, candidates will still reside
Right.
within Graham County.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve, resolution R 24-010, and, with the added that they will be a resident of Graham County.
Right, so I think we first have to vote on the amendment. Is that right, Bill?
We didn't make an amendment, you did.
Well,
We would have to do it separately.
Yes, you need to vote on the amendment, or the person who motioned, they made initial motion could say that they could all agree and just amend it in one fell swoop. So if the person who moved it and seconded can agree to the amendment, you can then vote it all together, otherwise do the amendment first.
agreed.
I agree, second as amended.
Okay. Okay, so now we
now you
need,
can vote on it
now
as
we need to
amended.
vote to approve resolution R 24-010, that's with the amendments. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
It carries. Then we'll move to item number 15, contracts.
Mayor Ortega, I need to read it into
Oh,
the
I'm sorry,
minutes.
go
Yeah,
ahead.
read it.
This completes approval of resolution number R 24-010 with the amendment proposed to be the residency within Graham County. A resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, approving the residency policy and the human resources policy manual for the city of Safford employees.
Thank you, B. Okay, then on to item number 15. Professional service agreement, the Quantum Workplace Employee Engagement Survey.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Staff is seeking final approval by the Mayor and City Council for a professional services agreement with Quantum Workplace for employee engagement survey services. This agreement is for a cost of $8,000 for a 12-month subscription. Please note there are additional costs for a leadership presentation of the survey results of 5,500 if council is interested. This professional services agreement would provide an employee engagement survey for up to 180 employees, the platform to administer the survey, platform analytics, and educational resources for change management. During the city manager's evaluation, it was requested by council that an employee engagement survey be conducted to provide employees with an opportunity to address job satisfaction. HR engaged with 2 recommended vendors who provided a quick overview of their employee engagement surveys. Staff's preferred vendor of choice is Quantum Workplace because of the thorough engagement survey questions presented and a user-friendly platform with multiple ways to interpret the data. It is recommended that the mayor and city council approve to engage with Quantum Workplace as the selected employee engagement survey vendor for $8,000, and the contract cost will be funded by using contingency funds. With that, I'll stand for any questions.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Well, I have a comment. I totally disagree with it. I think it's up to the council to, you know, he works for us, and we're the ones that have to evaluate him. So I'm totally opposed to this. Anybody else?
It seems like a lot of money to, you know, in the last 2 weeks, you've thrown a survey out there that I thought asked better questions than this did, and didn't cost us anything. I mean, it might have cost a few minutes on you or one of your employees, but it was a very good survey, and I hope you got good results from it, but I don't think we need to go outside to do a survey.
Go ahead.
And Danielle, I know your recommendation was for Quantum over the other one, but do you feel like this would give you something significant of value that you couldn't get on your own?
So administering a survey is easy. You can do that through like online SurveyMonkey or whatever. But the benefit to using a vendor is the way that they are going to provide the change management services. So you don't just get the survey in this case. You get all their advice, their trainings, their articles, their okay, you got this result, here's what you can do to help fix that situation. With that being said, when you're doing an employee engagement survey, I do recommend that you take into consideration that there might be additional costs down the road because you get into things like change management, culture changes for the organization based on the results and that kind of thing. So I think it's extremely important that if you're going to do an employee engagement survey, you make sure that the timing is right and you're ready to tackle any issues that come out of that survey.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
And Mr. Casellas, this is the one that was going to utilize contingency funds. So therefore, it wasn't planned for.
Correct.
This is a surprise.
Yeah, Mayor.
It just came up.
That's correct.
Okay, so that's, and I'm not sure you can justify that contingency monies for this, because usually you gotta identify something and some other department has to give it up and this and that, or some other thing that we have going has to give that money up. I'm not sure this qualifies for that, but I don't know.
Mayor Ortega, Vice Mayor Lopez, in looking at the $8,000, we, in all likelihood, you could not use contingency and call it from various departments and move those monies in to cover the cost. It's a large general fund, but given the fact that it was an unplanned expense, I felt that use of contingency would be more appropriate.
8,000 plus the possibility of 5,000.
Correct,
On
depending
top of
on
that 8,000.
That's correct.
So that's added to it to manage the program.
Right, and I guess it's geared toward analyzing the results. You probably can discuss that
So-
better than
So
I
it's
can.
not just 8,000, 5,000 on top of that.
Although that 5,500 is optional, right?
Yes, so the 5,500 is just for Quantum Workplace to come in and do a presentation for council and the management team so that we fully understand the results and possible ways to address those results.
And I kind of think this lost its way over the last year and a half or a year on how it began, on what questions we were looking for and stuff, beginning in the work session. That it began at a different time, and the way it's evolved, I'm not sure we're at that place anymore. The questions that are being asked, I don't know how we can solve them once we find out the answer. It's like questions that are being asked, it's up to the citizens to ask that question.
Yes, there is some difficulty in addressing these types of issues. A lot of the questions can end up just being very opinion-based, and there are a lot of times that you do get responses that can be negative. As far as timing, while we did change a lot of compensation and benefits for the employees for the better, we also haven't had time to reap the benefits of the full compensation plan. So I don't know that that perception is all the way changed yet. We haven't had a chance to do the COLAs yet. We haven't had a chance to do the merits yet. Only one of the questions on this survey is geared towards compensation and benefits, but at the end of the day, I feel like compensation and benefits have a huge impact in an employee's perception of their employers. So my preference would be to wait on this survey so that we can see how the compensation plans and see how the COLAs go and see how the merits go. And I really feel like that in and itself will help the environment as far as how employees are engaged.
I wished I could use that wording a while ago when I was talking about vacation on all we've done.
You missed out.
I
You
missed
missed
out. I
I'm
could
sorry.
have used that word verbiage right there because I'm not against the employees either way. But also it says change management, an educational resource for change management. To change our management?
Change management is a term used to describe how you're going to manage change within the organization, not to change your management team.
Okay, that's kind of from the questions. I'm telling. If we had the questions up on the board, we can see they're not going to. They're crazy questions. And also, again, you say that the council requested this. I don't believe that's so. I don't remember that coming about by the whole council. So.
That was in my evaluation. I was the one that requested it.
So I'm for this going away myself.
Or anybody else? Any more
I wouldn't be
discussion?
opposed to, as Danielle said, move it, table it, bring it back in 6 months or whenever you think it might be advantageous, but I don't see it answering any questions realistically. I mean, not any that we want to know the answer to and can fix. There might be 10% of them, but I thought they were a little bit off the wall questions, and I'd like to at least put it off, if not do away with it.
I know you can come up with that.
So the questions on the survey are pretty typical. When you go out to these vendors for, as far as employee engagement vendors, you don't see much difference as far as the questions themselves. They're all very similar, and essentially it boils down to, it's supposed to be not compensation and benefit focused. It's supposed to be just an overall workplace environment type of questions, and that's what leads to asking questions about management and coworkers and trust and future and that kind of thing.
Is there a way to get, I mean, a lot of those questions were evaluating the council, which that's the voter's job. And a lot of them are evaluating the manager, which is the council's job. And a lot of them were evaluating the department managers, which is the manager's job. I would like it to be, as a citizen, are you getting your services? Are you getting what you need? Do you feel like you're getting what you paid for? But it's not the tail's job to wag the dog. It's just really not. I mean, we gotta make good compensation so they'll stay, but, and we gotta do a good job managing our managers and that kind of stuff, but a lot of that was, it didn't go to the right place.
The type of survey you're talking about exists, and it's a different type of survey. It's a services survey, and it's a different animal altogether, but those surveys are out there.
Well, I don't wanna discount whatever Luke's looking for, but
Right.
it is not the employee's job to evaluate the management. And that's what a lot of those questions look like to me.
Or each other.
I just want to hear from the employees. I mean, yeah, you're saying listen to the citizens, but we're making a lot of judgments here for, how do we keep these employees here? How do we make a better environment for them? Like, how do we, because we're making policy, and we're pretty much putting it on our employees. I mean, yeah, they work for other people, but we have to understand, what are we doing? Are we making our own decisions here? Like, are we listening to any of them? Are we listening to the employees? I don't know if we are.
Well, it's
And
our
so-
job to give direction to the manager.
Correct.
That's the way
And I agree I actually agree with a lot of both sides of this. It's most important to me that Danielle seems to think waiting is a better option at this point. But I do, if we did an employee survey, I want to know if 65% of the employees don't feel supported by the council.
Correct.
So I'm kind of in both camps. I'm fine for let's wait, let's do something better. But if we do it, I'm not fine with let's strip us out of it. I guess I'm kind of all or nothing. Let's either not do it or let's do it with us included.
Certainly at times it's important to do temperature checks with your employees, but as I mentioned before, I do believe that we haven't fully experienced, our employees have not fully experienced what we've done as far as compensation.
Okay.
And that's gonna significantly affect the results of the survey.
I brought this up, but I'm all for that. If we want to go that route, I'm all for it. As long as we bring it back and do it again, and not just forget about it.
Okay. Anybody else?
I agree, let's put it off, but let's not drop it. I mean,
Yeah, and I don't think you need to. I think you can just simply not act on it. Bill, can they just not act on the item?
Yes, they can just not act, and then we can bring it back whenever you like.
Okay. That's fair. Everybody in agreement? Okay. Okay, then we'll
Thank
move
you.
on to, thank you, Danielle. We'll move on to item 16, report on operational items. Number 1, neighborhood officer update.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the Neighborhood Officer Quarterly Update. So, from October to January, we had 75 new cases. 34 were complied, 37 were still active, and 4 of those were forwarded to the attorney. 160 cases since the start of this neighborhood officer position. And once again, we have the zones right here of the city broke down. Up on top was the last quarterly meeting numbers, and the bigger picture right there on the bottom right is the new numbers of each area. And so here's some of the before and afters. The left side is the before, bottom left is the after. We've had great help from our police department of getting trailers off the street, sign removal on the right of ways, and on the right side is another property before and after. Beginning of the year, we started the community cleanup trailer. It's been really great. We had over 80 shares in less than 24 hours on Facebook. We are in the Courier, Gila Valley Central, Voice of the Valley, really getting the word out of the services the city provide. So the community cleanup trailer, we did a little dry run at the end of the year. We had 4 reservations from November 29th to December 31st. And then beginning of the year, the first, we really pushed for it once we kind of had a feel of how it was going to go and once we got organized. And since the publications, we had 16 reservations for January and February, 34 applications within the city limits since the start of the program, and we're booking into May now for the trailer reserve. And then the justification is when they fill out the form, they justify why they need it, just so we can keep a tally on what we might be able to get grants for and stuff like that in the future. We also had our El Paso Park neighborhood cleanup. Thanks to the Public Works Department to make this event successful. This is the second neighborhood cleanup we had. It didn't go as great as the first one, but we've learned a lot and we have some ideas for the future neighborhood cleanups and different ways we want to go forward with them. Any questions?
Do you find that you're gonna have to man those stations?
It might be one of the things.
Too bad we didn't have bigger dumpsters in place.
It's a start in doing good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think you guys put a lot of effort in the community. They really did like it. And the cemetery, thank you, Mr. Henry, for that. I guess I only have one comment I was worried about was the refrigerators when they were out there at El Paso. Is there some way we can take the doors off them? We have a lot of kids around there, and I was really scared a kid was gonna shed that on himself.
And we'll take that into consideration for the next
Thank you so
event.
much, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good job.
Okay, then we'll move on to item 17, announcement of current events. Anybody? Okay, then we'll move on to 18, requests for future agenda items. And we'll move on to item 19.
I make the motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, motion and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Right.
Only B is opposed.
That's what we're yelling at me.